Okay. My name is Jay. I'm presenting our paper entitled Playing Atari Space Invaders with Sparse Cosine Optimized Policy Evolution. The motivation for this work is primarily to create a method for applying evolutionary methods to environments with large observation spaces, such as either robotics with a point cloud generated from LiDAR or game playing policies. Specifically, the challenge is that evolutionary methods generally decrease in efficacy as the dimensionality of a space or an input increases. And SCOPE, our method, aims to provide a method to compress the inputs of a space while retaining essential information for effective learning. The main mechanism for doing so is the discrete cosine transform, as well as a sparsification and truncation step. To actually minimize the size of these inputs, we first take the discrete cosine transform of an image and then truncate it to some smaller matrix, and then drop out the smallest percentile coefficients to effectively reduce the space. So just as an example, this is a full-size image, and then there are two examples of truncating a DCT coefficient matrix down significantly, and you can see how the quality of the image is impacted by that. Truncating these coefficients generally decreases the rough detail of the image, and then our sparsification step, you can see, adds some graininess. We've gotten rid of some of the finer details of the actual image. So this is our actual pipeline that we used for learning Space Invaders. We would take the current frame of the environment, perform a discrete cosine transform, and then truncate the resulting coefficient matrix. And you can see how that actually affects that example frame there. It becomes significantly more grainy. And the sparsification step as well, you can see that it adds some artificial ghosting and reduces the effective dimensionality of the matrix by setting some of the values to 0. We then feed that into a learned affine function that produces action logits that we then take the maximum choice of and then apply that to the environment. We use CMAES, covariate matrix adaptation evolution strategy, to actually optimize this affine mapping. The mapping itself is the only part of this pipeline that actually has weights we need to optimize. The way it works is that we fairly naively directly use a linear transformation to map the sparsified matrix into a logit vector. We don't have any type of neural network or nonlinearity functions. We do have some nonlinearity from the nature of the DCT and sparsification step, but there's no explicit ReLU or TAN function or anything like that. We decided to use Atari and specifically Space Invaders as kind of a best case example for this algorithm. Since Space Invaders is heavily pattern dependent and is very localized, we figured that the DCT compression would be very effective on it, and we were proven to be correct. This is an example of one of the agents running. You can see the actual matrix of the DCT that we've truncated, and then that sparsification. Each black pixel is a location that's been set to 0, and then the resulting logits. One of the interesting things we observed was that, as you can see, the agent will actually hunt down and shoot that flying saucer at the top for extra points and avoid shooting the lesser enemies while that higher priority target is in view, which is interesting. We thought it would develop a much simpler strategy, especially considering the number of parameters in this agent, which is the main result. We reduced the input size by around 53%, and using only 800 to roughly 1,000 parameters, depending on the hyperparameters we chose, we achieve superior scores as compared to other evolution strategies and even some deep learning methods, as you can see. We achieve significantly higher scores than HyperNeat or OpenAI ES, and we pretty much match some deep learning methods with orders of magnitude lower parameter count. Thank you. And then I'm not sure if I can hear questions, but I'm happy to take them.
Do we have questions for the speaker? Yes, go ahead. Oh, okay. Okay, the question is, could you use this in a non-visual format?
Yes, we actually have previously published a paper where we use this to optimize the gait of a hexapod robot. We think that it would be most effective using a visual input because there's more information that's irrelevant or that we can compress in just generally in a visual input than in, say, for that hexapod robot, our input was a bunch of values describing the pose of the robot. There isn't much information there to compress, and therefore it's the actual compression mechanism is less effective and less noticeable than in a visual environment.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we'll start with the next poster.
All right, thank you.